Welcome to Tech Smarter. This is the show where we talk with operators, innovators, and investors who are shaping the future of aging services. My name is Abby Ritchie, and I am the tech guru at the Smarter Service. This episode is sponsored by Leading Age Arizona, and this show is brought to us by the Smarter Service. And if you happen to be a senior living operator in need of professionalizing your tech support for your residents, go ahead and reach out to me. Just DM me tech support, and I'll be sure to connect with you. Today, I'm really excited to have my guest back on the show. I've had Stephen Ewell, who is the executive director of the CTA Foundation, on a couple of times, and we typically enjoy doing this either before the upcoming CES or after CES to do a debriefing. So we're going to discuss today the most vital age tech and accessibility trends coming out of CES and how to identify these impactful startups. Welcome back to Tech Smarter, Stephen.
Abby, it's always great to see you. Thank you for having me back. And I love getting to talk CES. We are ramping up. I can't believe we're just about a month out from being there at the show, but it's going to be incredible this year. And yeah, we're seeing a lot of great trends, and I look forward to discussing them with you.
Me too. Me too. So how many months in advance do you start planning for the next year's show?
Well, probably actually, before the show actually happens, there's already people who are focused on how do we build out the next show, and we've got contracts on space going out years and years in advance. But so yeah, it really is a year-round operation to put this all together. But we like to say, come September 1st, it is all hands on, straight through to the show, because that gives us really the chance to ramp everything up. And I'm sure you've seen, we've been announcing a number of great keynotes. We're getting the programs and other speakers lined up and announced, and then just the exhibit hall is looking incredible with countries or companies from around the world exhibiting. We'll have around 1,400 startups again at the show. So, that's always an incredible opportunity. And, just look at some of the best innovation happening no matter where it is in the world.
Yeah, I'm so curious. What's one specific emerging either AI or smart home trend that you'll be watching at CES that promises to elevate the dignity of older adults?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and yeah, just kind of taking a little bit of a step back. So, our CTA Foundation is focused on technology for older adults and people with disabilities. So that's really a key issue for us. You said it, AI is probably the word that is going to be thrown around everywhere at CES this year. It's been a big topic over the last several years, but I think we're going to see a lot of interest and focus on the ways AI can benefit everyone, but certainly the ways it can help both older adults and people with disabilities. We're actually building out a whole new area of the show. So we're adding an extra hotel and venue on with the Fountain Blue, where we're doing CES Foundry. And that entire focus of the Foundry is going to be around AI content, blockchain content, and quantum content. And, I'll tell you, I think there's going to be some great opportunities with AI and certainly blockchain as well. I'm still getting my head around quantum and trying to figure out where that's going to play in the age tech space. But, what I love about CES is it's a chance to kind of really bring together these innovators and have that opportunity to engage, talk about, and get in front of the people building this technology to talk about these are very important audiences. These are critical audiences, and these are your potential customers. So yes, we'll be having plenty of conversations around those technologies, but I think ultimately AI is going to make a difference in how do we all live, work, and play as independently as we can? How do we help the technology adapt to us versus us adapting to the technology? So, as these AIs can learn about our preferences, learn about what we're looking at doing, kind of what we like to do when, it can tailor things like our smart homes to us versus, sitting there and trying to figure out, okay, how do I figure this out? How do I make this piece work with this piece? All of that is getting, better integrated, working better together, and that'll just make a better environment for everyone.
I want to see if you've got any specific innovation on your mind that you can share with us to preview what might be happening in terms of what's being seen at CES in the accessibility in the age tech area. Is there anything in particular that comes to mind?
Oh, there's a ton of things that are come to mind. So, from a programmatic, obviously our friends at AARP are building out their entire booth, and I don't think it's public exactly what they're doing there yet, but they're going to have it sounds like a really incredible display in addition to all the content that they're doing on the stage there. We're actually building an accessibility stage this year, so we're going to have kind of 3 full days of content focused on accessibility and talking about the technologies making a difference in that space. Thanks to Verizon Accessibility is helping us build all that out. And then some of the specific technology. So once again, we had our Eureka Park accessibility contest winners. So every year we go out to US and Canadian based startups and we pick 5 that are showcasing how their technology can make a difference to either older adults or people with disabilities. And we've got 5 great ones. There's one 360 direct access, which is providing ASL interpretation for deaf and hard of hearing people. But they basically work directly with companies' customer service. So rather than going through a third party when you need that customer support, they're actually able to be kind of embedded within the companies to provide direct, for someone who their first language is ASL, be able to provide those customer service and support to people who speak ASL as a first language. I've got another really incredible company called Cairns Health. I like to think of it as kind of a mix between kind of a health sensor and like a smart assistant, voice assistant. So it's a device that can both monitor, various health statistics, like being able to use I think they use some kind of radar to basically monitor kind of your various health statistics. But then it also has the built-in voice assistant to help with, assisting with activities of daily living, but also, do you have questions? Do you need caregiving support? Do you need other types of things that they can provide? So I'm really excited to see them at the show. We've got a company out of Canada called CogniCheck, and they're using kind of an older technology of using the phone, but they're using some really incredible AI so they can schedule regular calls with individuals and then just based on the conversations, detect if there are early signs of dementia or other cognitive issues and be able to recommend people get looked at, get checked out at a much earlier stage than you would otherwise. So being able to create that connection, I think is really
But do they also call an Uber for this person?
I don't know if that one does, but there are absolutely other companies that we know that will call the Uber for that person. So,
That would be
or
good.
alert a loved one or caregiver. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Yes, there's something that's a big leap of faith when it comes to calling an Uber or a Lyft in order to get a ride. I experienced that firsthand when I was working with older adults. There's just such a barrier to that technology. I want to circle back a little bit to the accessibility barrier as well. And what would you say is one of the most common yet easily solvable accessibility barriers that you continue to see in mass market consumer tech?
So honestly, I think the biggest barrier is awareness. I think both from a company side of having these innovators and companies understand what the challenges are out there and how to address them, but also on the consumer side of figuring out what are the products that are already out there and how can they, best find the products that work well for them. And that is something that there's been a lot of work going on for several years now to try to create that greater awareness. But I still think that is the biggest accessibility challenge out there. Now, obviously, there's also, all the challenges of, looking at ways of, multimodal control of different devices. So whether it is using your voice, or whether you're using, gestures, or controlling through your phone or mouse, or other different features. That's one of the exciting things, is as many of these devices are having multiple ways you can interact and control your devices, it helps overcome, because the solution that works well for one person may not work well for another person. So being able to have some of the different options really makes a huge accessibility difference.
Yes, there's two things that come to mind here. The first one, you mentioned it, was ASL. And over the years, I've been consulting with different startups and realizing that the technology built in to support to support people with hearing loss is delayed. It hasn't really innovated that much, but I'm seeing more and more solutions out there, like real-time navigation, as opposed to relying on Braille on a door, for instance, or on an elevator. And to me, it just seems like, wow, of course, let's do it already. And yet that technology just hasn't innovated and hasn't gotten to the level where some other technology has developed. So there's the ASL piece. And then the other thing is truly just the awareness. And that's something that we're constantly trying to solve at the Smarter service when we're working with older adults, is making them aware at what's available to them. For instance, just having the button on your remote for your TV so you could speak into it is a huge convenience for so many people.
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, I think, I mean, we see really incredible usage of devices like that. And yeah, I think, mentioning things like navigation, one of our pitch winners a couple years ago was a company called Good Maps, and they design accessible mapping solutions for blind and low vision. Although honestly, it's really useful for a lot of people, because they get very specific of, if you're running through that airport, or if you're in a library and you want to know where you can plug in your phone to get a little bit of a charge, it can actually give you that kind of information, in addition to where's the door, where's the bathroom, where's the other information that you need. We also see companies like, actually, another of our pitch winners was a company called Roboca, which is designed more for low vision. And that's more of an app that does kind of AI based, hold it up and it'll read a whole sign to you. In fact, it'll translate the sign if it's in a different language, but it'll also adjust all the colors or adjust the size of the font, so that you can, if you're lower vision, it might work better for you depending on the type of vision loss you have. So there's some really interesting innovations going on out there. And I'm excited to see kind of, what are the new ones that I'm not even aware of yet, that we should see at the show here.
Yes, I actually met the founder of Roboca, and she is a college student, and maybe she's graduated by now, but she developed it for herself originally because she had low vision. And I was just blown away, so much so that I brought her into some of my classrooms at senior living communities so she could explain how this technology would help. And one thing that older adults struggle with is low vision, whether it's macular degeneration and also hearing loss. So this particular innovation, so I don't want to say so simple, but so necessary, and also developed by someone who was struggling with this firsthand.
Absolutely. And that's something that we see, especially in both the accessibility and the age tech spaces, is a lot of solutions do come from people designing for what do they need, and or what is the challenge that they've seen. But then getting out and, engaging the marketplace, engaging consumers, because when you have that, one person perspective, that's very important. But when you can get a mass market and mass engagement, that tells you, okay, I'm really solving a problem for a much bigger audience. But yeah, that's one of the things I look at this and I say, we're obviously a foundation. We're focused on the philanthropic, but it's really a little self-serving in the fact that, I'm looking for some great technologies that I'm going to be looking to use one of these days. So, it can be a little bit of doing good while also, seeing some great innovations that will help us all out as we continue to age.
Let's talk about the AARP exhibit. How different will that be this year from the previous years?
So I don't know all the details about
Uh-huh.
AARP's exhibit. I know from what I've heard, they've got some really big things planned, kind of showcasing the way a variety of different technologies kind of integrate together, and telling that story kind of in the day of a life, as far as engaging with a wide variety, and really technologies even beyond what you think of as traditional consumer tech products. So they're working with a number of great brands, but yeah, unfortunately I don't have all the details that I can
Sure you don't.
spill.
Sure you don't. Oh, one thing I noticed in the past couple of years is that there's been major tech companies like Samsung, for instance, that are providing tech integration solutions. So you might be using your phone, your refrigerator, your toaster, your thermostat, and also your medical portals. And the Samsung Health Hub has been able to accomplish that. Are there any other major tech companies that are doing this as well?
Oh, absolutely. So kind of across the major manufacturers, you're seeing them build entire ecosystems. So whether you're living in Samsung with some of their smart things and other products, certainly Google, Apple, Microsoft, a number of them have kind of integrations, but you also see through the Matter standard and through other systems ways to break that out from just being siloed within one ecosystem. So you can buy a product that might live in the Amazon ecosystem, but then bring that Samsung product in and have it work together. It's getting bigger and bigger, and more seem to be using it. It's not everywhere yet, but we are seeing that. And it once again, that's having your smart home or smart environment, because I like to think this can be much more than just at home, but having that all work together, having that kind of continue to build out, and then you can get information, whether it is if you want to see who's ringing your doorbell, and you're standing by your fridge or standing by your voice assistant or anything like that, or if you're holding your phone, you can get that kind of information in a variety of different ways. But then also getting medication reminders in a way that works best for you, or other types of alerts that are important to you in the way that works best for you. Once again, every person's a little different. Everyone wants something a little different. So having these very smart solutions that can be customized, I think, is going to make a massive difference in people's needs.
I also think that when they stay in the ecosystem family of the majority of the devices, it makes things so much easier. And when things are easier, they require less support from, say, an adult child or a caregiver.
Yeah, and actually support is one of the big challenges that we continue to see out there. Looking at ways to, both initially set up some of these products, but then continue to maintain them. I know there's a number of, some of the installers and integrators that traditionally people have thought of as, oh, they're putting in kind of the high end home theater systems and things like that. A lot of them are getting into the age tech space because they recognize that there's an opportunity for them to come in, help set up, help maintain. It's a much smaller job than putting in a whole home theater system, but it's something that they can do fairly easily and fairly regularly. And some of these people are, they're incredible with just, they know a lot of different ecosystems, they know a lot of different technologies, so they can really problem solve with you of, what is it that you're looking for? What is it that you're trying to do? let's figure out which solutions will work best in your particular instance. The challenge is most of those companies, they're very small companies. They tend to be, focused in one specific geographic region. So it's really, finding who is it that is doing that type of work in your community, wherever in the country or the world you are. There are some big companies that are doing that as well. Certainly, Best Buy with their Geek Squad does a lot of work in this space. You see, even in like the Apple stores, the Genius Bar and the amount of service and support that they provide there. But there's still a lot of need and opportunity, I think, in that space.
A huge need. When we look at it in terms of senior living, for instance, the having a tech bar, which is what we provide, the Smarter service provides that at senior living communities within the community on a regular basis. It builds tech confidence. It saves on staff hours, and it helps overall the community be more secure. And we found this over and over and over again, because this whole area of age tech, it's sort of like some people have been piecemealing it together or band-aiding it together, using this solution that was really designed for a business professional, but now being designed for an older adult. And so much of it has to be professionalized, and it also has to be beautifully marketed and understood for a different type of consumer.
Yep. And that goes back to that awareness that we were talking about before, but also, getting hands-on and trying out a product makes such a difference. I mean, you and I both know this, that there's the stereotype out there, oh, older adults don't use technology. And we both know that's not true. But what you need to do is, what is the value? Why should I learn to use a new technology? Why? Like, what benefit is this providing to me? And can I try it out before I'm going to spend a bunch of money to buy a new product? It turns out, if I get hands-on, if I like it, if I see the value, I'll absolutely use it. And we see that kind of across the board with all different types of technologies, whether you're talking, health tech, whether you're talking smart home, whether you're talking, yeah, a lot of the entertainment tech and things like that. So, that is such an important service, is being able to provide that connection, being able to give people that opportunity to figure out, yeah, this is something that actually will work for me, or no, it's not something I have an interest in. Let me figure out something else that might be better.
Yeah, so for a family or a caregiver that are considering a tech purchase for their parent, what would be the number one non-negotiable question a family member should ask themselves or the salesperson before they purchase any piece of age tech?
Ooh, that is a good one. Yeah, I think, one is, if you're the family member looking at buying a product for your loved one, for the older adult in your life, um is this something that they actually want? Is it something that they need? Because I think that's one of the challenges we find is, people will, very well meaning, go out and buy something and just drop it off and be like, here, mom and dad, this is a new product for you to use. And then they wonder why it never gets set up or never gets used, because it's not, you're not engaging the older adult in that actual discussion. You're not talking to them about what is the problem that you're solving for them. If I mean, uh, yes, my father loves that I care about him and think about him, but like, if I'm solving my issue, not solving his issue, uh, he wants something that's going to solve his issue. So I think the first thing you need to do as you're looking at buying any kind of product is, is this something that would be useful for the person you're trying to buy it for, and does it solve their problem? I see so many, solutions that are, we're going to put cameras up everywhere. We're going to watch you all the time. We're going to know, exactly how long you were in the bathroom, how long you slept, how long, all of that. And in certain cases, that is important. If someone does have, certain frailties, if they have dementia, if they need that level of support, absolutely. But for a lot of people, the whole idea of you're going to put me on camera 24/7 and you're going to know everything I'm doing all the time, I
Yeah.
mean, there's just not that interest. So it is figuring out what is that, what is the problem you're solving, and does it really make a difference to the person you're giving this to?
100%, and for anyone who's watching this that's going to be seeing their parents over the holiday, I really want to encourage you, and you mentioned this, Steve, to if you are going to swoop in and purchase them something, that you make sure that they can take it back to a place that has really good customer service. I see one of the biggest problems is that an adult child might swoop in, fly in, maybe go get that new TV, set it up, but it doesn't give their parent an opportunity to learn it, like you said, once they've learned how to use it. And also, if they need help with it, where are they going to go? And it's something that we do at the Smarter Service, but I really like people to know that, yeah, you could have your agenda of wanting to purchase a new TV for your parent, which is a lovely gift, but they also need to know how to use it and where to go if something goes wrong.
Absolutely. You said it great. I don't know that I can add too much more to that, but yeah, it's absolutely an important piece.
I want to segue into some future vision on CES. Where do you see CES developing in the next 5 years?
So yeah, I mean, CES is continuing to be the global stage for innovation. So we're bringing people together from around the world. Certainly we're seeing a greater focus on AI. We tend to go through various trends of different technologies, but just seeing as that's being rolled out across the industry, I think we're going to see that get to be a bigger and bigger piece of the show. We've certainly seen over the last few years, the digital health space has really grown incredibly from, just a couple exhibitors a few years ago. I think we're going to continue to see that grow and build. But I think the conversation really is about that overall integration of how do people interface with their technology. What are the innovations that are going to help people, whether it is, work, staying safe and independent at home, whether it's the transportation solutions, and that could be, it could be your car, it could be that ride service, it could be, autonomous vehicle, or something else, even the technology that can help get you to public transit and help get you to work, or get you to a doctor's appointment, or get you to go out to have dinner with your friends, or other things like that. So I think that integration, looking at the transportation, I was just talking with a company the other day that does those delivery robots, and talking about ways that they're working at continuing to build out the accessibility on those robots to make it so, someone who's not able to cook their own meals has access to being able to order the meals, but also is easily able to retrieve and get that food, get that in a timely and easy to access manner. So I think there's a lot of really interesting innovations. But one of the things I love about CES is, every year there's some surprises there as well. There's things that, like, I walk up and see some of these exhibitors and I'm just like, wow, I never thought of that. I don't know if that's a good idea or not, but is this something I'm going to be seeing a ton of in 5 years, or is this going to be something I never see again? But that's really what CES is there for, is people have dreams, people have ideas. Some of these companies, I mean, these startup founders, they're putting their life savings into building it, and this is their chance to be on that same stage as, the biggest global brands, and get that recognition, build their technology. And not every startup succeeds, as we know, but this is our opportunity to give them the opportunity to get in front of media like yourself, get in front of the investors who are going to help them build out their business. And I love when I hear after the show from some of these startups who are like, oh, I got covered by, whichever, magazines, journals, other shows, or, I closed a funding round at the show. Like, those are the stories that it's just so heartwarming, because these people have put everything into making this. And, I'm excited to see, but one of the things I love is I can't predict what we're going to be at in 5 years, because there's going to be something new that I wouldn't even know to mention at this point.
When you think about the legacy that you're developing here with CTA and the type of support that you have been cultivating and seeking and developing in accessibility, what kind of legacy do you hope that the AgeTech movement leaves behind for the next generation of older adults?
For me, it's really, what are the technologies that are going to really make a difference in people's lives? And one of the things I'm now about to hit my 14-year anniversary at CTA. When we were getting started and when we stood up this foundation and said we're focusing on aging and disability, we had a lot of people say, really, is that where you want to focus? That, that's not kind of the priority areas. But we really saw it as a gap and an area that technology could make a really big difference in. And there wasn't a lot of people doing work in this space. There were absolutely people doing work in this space, but there wasn't as much as we see with, other issues like, kids in STEM education. We think that's critical. We want more people to be doing that, but there were already a number of groups doing work in that space. So my goal is to see, how do we develop the technologies that are going to help us all, live independently? What are the things that we want to use? And then the next generation and the next generation, and it'll continue to build. But what I really feel strongly about is the fact that now when I tell people what our mission is and what we're focused on, I don't get the, oh, why are you doing that? I get the, oh yeah, I'm interested in learning more about that. Like, there is so
100%.
many people who are doing this now.
When I tell people about AgeTech and I tell people about the Smarter service, they're like, oh, that's amazing. That's such a good idea. Everyone needs it. And so really our goal, like your goal, is to provide and educate so that people can live longer with dignity and be able to connect with the people that they love. Stephen, I just want to thank you so much for coming on board. I'm really excited about so many of the topics that you mentioned. I'm excited to see you in just a month and a half. And how can people connect with you if they have any questions?
Yeah, absolutely. And Abby, thank you so much for having me here. Thank you for all the work that you do as well to just highlight all the innovations going on in the age tech space. It really is, that is helping address this awareness challenge. So if people are interested in learning more about me, certainly our website, ctafoundation.tech, or if you go to cta.tech /CTA-foundation, that'll get you to our website on everything that we've got going on with the foundation. Certainly ces.tech, and once again, that's .tech for tech. Everything CES is on there. A lot of our content from the show this year will be recorded and put up online there. So it's a great opportunity. If you're not able to, obviously we want people to be able to join us in Las Vegas for CES. But since it is a closed show and not necessarily open for people outside of the industry, others can go to the CES website and see a lot of this content. And then certainly, LinkedIn's probably the best social media for me at this point. So, look me up on LinkedIn, and I'm always happy to connect with people. And, I'm a big believer in making connections and talking to people. So, if anyone reaches out, I'll say the next month or so, I might be a little slow in responding, but I definitely want to build connections.
Excellent. Excellent. That is so good. Well, I want to thank you again. I'm really looking forward to it. For those of you who joined us in the chat and are watching this later, thank you so much for your comments and your participation. We absolutely love it. And we will see you all right back here next week. Bye.